Welcome to Knicksfandom. This is an independent New York Knicks fan-based podcast, which was created by fans for fans. The show is hosted by Blackwell, Danny, and Flau. They'll discuss the issues surrounding the Knicks, the NBA, and various other sports-related topics. Join us. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping up. Don't catch you slipping up. Look what I'm whipping up. This is America? Is this America? Listeners, I ask you, is this America? Gentlemen, in today's show we discuss the recent altercation involving some police officers of the Milwaukee Police Department and NBA player Sterling Brown of the Milwaukee Bucks. We give our thoughts on this hot-button issue. We also talk about the NBA playoffs and LeBron's epic 46-point effort in Game 6, Chris Paul's and Kevin Love's major injuries, and have they both affected the conference finals. Also, the fact that both NBA conference finals will be decided in the decisive Game 7, one way or the other. Somebody's going forward or somebody's going home. And lastly, the ways in which David Fizdale is already living up to the name Uncle Fizz. So sit back, relax, and join us. This is episode 47 of our podcast known as Knicksfandom. As always, I'm your host, L.A. Blackwell. Hope all listeners out there are doing great. Glad to be joined by my co-host, Danny D. How you been doing, Danny D?
I'm good, L.A. How's everything with you, man?
I'm doing well. Also glad to be joined by my fellow co-host, Flo. How are things, Flo?
LA, I'm great today, brother. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get right into it. Let's start it up, fellas, with NBA talk. With our first segment, NBA talk. And I'm just going to read something for y'all, gentlemen, and for our listeners out there who might not have been following the case very closely thus far. And the article is from the New York Times. Sterling Brown arrest fallout. 3 officers are suspended by Louis Loserio II. And just briefly, hang along with me, fellas. 8 members of the Milwaukee Police Department have been disciplined in connection with the arrest of the NBA player Sterling Brown, who in January subdued a stun gun over a parking violation. The department announced on Friday that 3 officers will receive unpaid suspensions. Those officers and 5 others will receive policy review instruction and remedial training in professional communications, the department said. The most substantial punishment of 15-day suspension went to a police sergeant who had served for more than 11 years. Another sergeant with 12 years of service received a 10-day suspension. An officer with 2.5 years on the force received a 2-day suspension. Photos of the arrest outside a Walgreens store in the early hours of January 26th was captured using a body camera worn by one of the officers. The 30-minute video was released to the public on Wednesday after the police department conducted an investigation into the episode that revealed members acted inappropriately. Alfonso Morales, the Milwaukee police chief, has expressed regret at how the arrest was carried out. And I quote, he said, "I am sorry this incident escalated to this level," he said at a news conference on Wednesday. The video showed Mr. Brown exiting the drugstore and being confronted by an officer about his car, which was parked in the handicap zone. The confrontation swiftly escalates with multiple police vehicles responding to the scene. At one point, the officers pushed Mr. Brown to the ground, and one officer calls out taser, 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 after which a stun gun used on Mr. Brown. During the video, Mr. Brown does not appear to raise his voice or physically resist officers. In an interview broadcast on Friday on Good Morning America, Mr. Brown, a 23-year-old guard on the Milwaukee Bucks, said that his hands were behind his back at the time the stun gun was used. He described becoming mad every time he watched the footage, and I quote, "I was defenseless pretty much," he said. Fellas, what do you think about this incident? Starting with you, Danny D, overall. What do you think about this incident?
The incident shows that, that, like you said before, is this America? And then the fact that, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. It's 2 a.m., okay? He parks, he doesn't park appropriately in the Walgreens, okay? He's wrong. Yes, he's wrong. But is his wrong an excuse for him to get stun gun? He should have just got a parking violation. That's it. Get a citation, parking violation. It didn't have to escalate to something that nothing should have went down like that. Because now you have something like that, and it's really sad because this is abuse of power that was unnecessary. You hit him with a stun gun and things like that, and it could have escalated to something even more that didn't have to be. You did something, you used force that wasn't needed, and then what if he had a heart problem? What if it was other things over a parking violation? That's what you get stun gun over a parking violation. It's totally wrong, and they should have got suspended more.
Hey, I hear definitely where you're coming from. And this is not just the first time things like this been happening. We've been seeing this in news a lot, fellas. You know, a lot of recent troubling incidents involving some confirmed police misconduct, in particular, another African-American male. This situation is occurring. What you think about it, Flo?
LA, let me just add on real quick. First, number one, the name of the officer should be released. That's number one. Number two, they should all be fired. What you have is this NBA ball player who was making a emergency run at Walgreens because it's open 24 hours a day. Sometimes people get sick. They got to go, get something, like a thermoflu, et cetera, or they have an emergency, like I said, stuff like that. So that happens. Now, the only thing Sterling Brown's guilty of is the way he parked. That's illegal parking. What he should have received is just either a citation or a parking violation. Give him a ticket, keep it moving. There's more important, crime being committed out there. That's not what he did is not a crime. Just give him a ticket, keep it moving. Officers should be fired on the spot. No reason for the suspension. Their name should be released. And it's a shame that it's reached to this point where you have to get 8 officers involved and tase him. I don't understand that. I really don't.
No, I definitely hear where you're coming from as well, Flo. And that's the issue. It's like they point to him being the aggressor, but it goes both ways. There was no reason for there to go so much aggression on the police force side as well. And to call so many officers of one person was unarmed, I don't know what the issue was with that. To me, that seemed like you're already escalating the situation far more than it should be, even at that point in time. And this situation, look at it, this is not the first time this has happened in the Milwaukee Police Department. I just want to give you all a statistic right now. Over the last several years, a lot of controversial incidents regarding alleged police brutality in recent years. It has cost Milwaukee taxpayers at least $17 million in legal settlements from 2015 to 2017, even forcing the city to borrow money to make some of these payouts amid an ever-tightening budget. So that's the question you got to ask. Looking at that overall, is this just an isolated incident or this is a trend? Also, you got to look at where this is happening. It happened near the Bradley Center, which is kind of close to his own practice facility. That's one thing. So it's like he has a reason to be there. Yes, like you stated, Danny D, he was wrong for having taken up 2 lanes and horizontal. They stated they thought maybe it's like a crime might be taking place. It's 2:00 a.m. Okay, that's depending on perception. But also the thing I think you have to look at is when you look at Milwaukee where it's happened, it's a high rate of of increasing incarceration over there. It's like 12.8% of black men have been incarcerated in there, and only 40% live there within Milwaukee. So that's the question you have to ask: is that pattern behavior, some racial profiling taking place? All those things you have to look at. What would happen if this wasn't like 2:00 in the morning, if this wasn't on film? So all these things you have to take into type of account to me. And we're going to see what happens as they go forward. But right now, I don't see how it go from you need something that was just pretty much a parking ticket to a person being tased when it was like no violence or anything happened other than really no real resistance other than just back and forth, talking back and forth. What you think about that, Danny D?
Yeah, it went from that because you have to look at the physical attributes of Sterling Brown. He's 6'6". So, like you said, intimidation and it's basically, like I said, abuse of power. That's how it escalates. You want to see what's going on. He's 6'6". He wants to talk and things like that. And then it's abuse of power. Oh, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. He was, if you look at the video, wasn't yelling, wasn't being aggressive. He was just listening to what was going on. So, and it's a shame. And it's really a shame. It is a shame. Like we talked about, like we said, wrong is wrong. Like Flo said, the names of the officers should be released. And then I said some more sort of suspension, also fired, because you can't. It's no justification for that. There's more serious crime that's going on, and if he wasn't an NBA player and things like that, it wouldn't be known. You would have swept it under the rug, and nothing would have happened. Like, oh yeah, it was stuff like that. And if it wasn't for the body cameras that the police department had to put on body cameras, it would have went just like this. A 6'6" African male came out, was being hostile, and we had to stun him. That's it. That's how it went.
That's true. And like you said, what if he did have a heart condition or something? Now you're dead because of a parking violation? That's crazy. That definitely didn't fit the crime, the punishment. And that's not supposed to be delivered by them in that respect. What you think about it, Flo?
LA, it's unfortunate that it reached to that level. There was no reason for him to be tasered in the first place. Yes, I understand he's 6'6", but 8 police officers can't can't talk and then have a normal conversation with a gentleman at all. I don't understand that. Number two, let's say if there was anybody on this panel or any of the listeners, any of the male listeners, I don't think we'd be here to talk about it. We'd probably be 6 feet under, and it's unfortunate. It really is.
It's tough to say, man. It's tough to say. It's a bad situation for all involved, and that's what you have to deal with in this day and time. It's unfortunate. You would think a lot of these things was something of the past, but, things we don't learn from the past tend to repeat itself. And even if he's 6'6", you got 6 to 7 officers that's armed, and armed professionals. If you can't handle one unarmed individual who's not even fighting back, then you shouldn't be on the force. That's just how it is. And that's the bottom line. It's like it's always something different when it's a certain amount of people or a certain person you want to put in that predicament. So you're supposed to be an armed professional. This is what you train for. You're supposed to be de-escalate a situation, not escalate it. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. What do you fellas think should happen to police officers that were involved in an incident rather than to do this thing? Is like you stated suspension. I know you stated, Floyd, that they should be taken off the force. I think we pretty much hit that. I think you agree with that, Danny D?
Mm-hmm.
If not, you definitely have some long extension. This 15, 20 days. I mean, you got to really, I think you really need to evaluate this situation from a whole and see how did it even get to that and why was so many officers called for this type of predicament. And there was no reason that many officers need to be called at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you don't know how somebody's going to respond in that type of situation. That's what a lot of people think. Oh, you're arguing, resisting. You don't know what you're going to do in that type of situation. You're surrounded by a bunch of armed police officers, 2 o'clock in the morning. You could be half asleep or anything. You don't know what's going on and how you're going to react with that situation. And that's why they need a professional person, which is the officers, to handle that situation and not let it get to that point. And what form of recourse do you guys think Sterling Brown should pursue regarding this case? Starting with you, Danny D.
We already know. Well, the Milwaukee taxpayers better get ready. It's going to be up out because it's a civil lawsuit. That's it. So whoever's in Milwaukee and things like that, it's going to be more taxes y'all going to be paying, player, because y'all are getting the lawsuits coming.
Yep, that's what I said. Pattern of behavior, man. What'd you say, Flo?
Yeah, LA, like you mentioned, this is a trend. So unfortunately, number one, a lawsuit. Number two, hopefully he notified the NBA Players Association. He contacted Chris Paul, who's vice president. Hopefully, he reached out to LeBron James also. And the other gentleman, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, these guys are activists. So hopefully he reached out to them, let them know what's going on. Hopefully we can get a solution to this because this is ridiculous, man. 3 years? The trend is 3 years? This is ridiculous, man.
Exactly. We got to do better, people. Got to do better. If you don't see something wrong with this, just put yourself in that predicament if you were Sterling Brown and see how you would feel being in that predicament and think, should you be escalated and tased 2 o'clock in the morning? Think about that. If you don't see something wrong with that, you're part of the problem. Got to do better, people. And, listeners, give us your thoughts, what you think about it overall. Put in the comment section. And I want to discuss some on a lighter note, fellas. And we're going to discuss what's going on in the conference finals games as we talk about a good topic that happened with LeBron James. Cleveland Cavaliers get to go for another day. And LeBron James stepped up in the Game 6, do-or-die game, and drops 46 points, guys, which leads to our Game 7, which is going to take place later tonight in Boston Celtics, at the Boston Celtics Arena. Your thoughts on this series thus far, in particular Game 6? You can start things off, Flo.
Game 6, LA. Terry Rozier III came to play. Tatum, Brown, Horford. But once again, LA seemed like after the first quarter, for some reason, and by watching this game, for some reason, Boston stopped giving the ball inside to Al Horford. If you notice in that first quarter, Boston players, they were feeding Horford inside. Horford's getting double teamed. Either LeBron came with a double, et cetera, et cetera. He found an open man. Guys like Jaylen Brown cutting to the basket, Terry Rozier cutting to the basket. These guys were getting layups and ones. But when the second quarter came, they stopped giving the ball to Al Horford. And, it's a shame because you really want Al Horford to get going offensively. I understand he's moving the ball and, they're taking the ball out of his hands, but they got to figure out a way to just get him involved in terms of just let him get in the post more and more and just, not only just post up, but also just, See even get some baskets. Maybe just put the ball on the floor against Tristan Thompson. That's one aspect. And I've mentioned this before. I know Boston, they're coming back home. They're comfortable. But, they got to learn from this game 6. They definitely got to learn from this game 6.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. And Al Horford, I hear where you're coming from. He got to do better than 6 points and 9 boards. I blame Jason Tatum for that, man. I know he's a young guy. He's a rookie. But 15 points, you got to step up. You're going against J.R. Smith. You got to press them, man. You got to make that ball spin. Got to spin that ball around by driving. That's the big thing LeBron showed you. What you think about that, Danny D?
Yeah, about driving, things like that. But I want to, like I said, I was talking off with you. I said he's a rookie. It's hard to say, man, when the spotlight's on you, things like that. This is my first year. I'm a rookie. I'm trying to do my thing. I don't get paid the big bucks like Al Horford and these guys, man. I'm a rookie, man. Cut me some slack, man. Cut me some slack, brother.
But they need him. They need him bad, Danny D.
I know. I'm out here, man. I'm not hurt. I'm playing. But I agree with you guys are saying. Boston had to come up and step up. Like you said before, Greg Monroe and the bench players gonna have to step up and do what they got to do in defensive, and they can't let the Cleveland Cavaliers to come out with a hot start and come out with a first quarter, second quarter, and then punch them in the face. But they're at home, like you said, they can't be too comfortable thinking that they're going home because you remember these guys are undefeated at home, so you can't go on the cockiness because LeBron's coming to play. It's a game 7. He's coming to play, and you know that. And if Jeff Green or somebody can be consistent, Boston might be in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Boston is definitely in trouble. I think they blew it. I think that was their game. They needed it. Even though LeBron needed it more because they was going to go home if they lost, that was Boston game to me because that's the game. You do not want to go game 7 with LeBron. And to me, just look at that game. 3 people made that game. That was George Hill. That was Jeff Green, who played tremendous once Kevin Love went down with the concussion, and LeBron James. LeBron James was the man in that game, fellas.
LeBron James.
And it's like he dominated that game in such a way that even before the first half was done, he put up numbers that's like great for a regular game. 25 points, 5 rebounds, I think 5 assists. That's one whole game for some people, man. And the end with 46 points. He put that team on his back because basically there's a ton of pressure on LeBron in that game, man. You're going back home. You're not going to the finals again for like the first time in like 8 years. You're breaking that tradition he bought. You also, this will be last game in Cleveland, man. You're unrestricted free agent after this if he decides to walk away. You don't want your last game at home be at that and losing, ripping off the jersey again. So a ton of pressure on LeBron. They didn't win that game. They was going to go home. This pushed you to a game 7. So, hats off to him in that game. And he played the perfect game that he was just driving. He didn't do none of that nonsense, shooting threes and all that stuff. He let the game come to him, but he forced that ball into the paint. And he abused Jason Tatum. Pounding him out, man. All the way from 3-point line, you watch that. But I felt bad for the kid, man. He pounded from the 3-point line all the way to the paint. He was not going to be denied, man. And that's what James Harden better watch, too. We're going to talk about him later on. You better take some notes from that game, man. Stop shooting on the threes all the time, man, and go inside and drive that ball or something. That's what I think. You know what you add to that, Flo?
Yeah, LA, I just want to say real quick, in terms of Boston to win this game 7, I know they're at home. They got the crowd, as a 6-man, but really, 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 Brad Stevens has to be a mad scientist and come up with a game plan where, number one, you got to stop Cleveland on fast break. You cannot allow them to run in transition. Make them a half-court team. That's number one. Then number 2, dump the ball inside Al Horford. Let him make things happen continuously, but also let him go to work, too, on Tristan Thompson. It's going to be an interesting game 7. Do or die, losing teams going fishing, the winning team going to the NBA Finals. It's going to be a real interesting game tonight. Real interesting.
Very true. But that brings me to the next point. I know we all picked the Cavaliers going into the series. What do you think now? Do you think Celtics got a chance to win it, or if you had to flip that coin and bet the house, who would you bet on now? You still think it's Cleveland, or you think Celtics going to win it? Starting with you, Danny D.
Like I said, I think the Cavs might pull it out. And for the love of me, if J.R. Smith can score 10 more points, they might win the game.
even with Kevin Love being out, because Kevin Love is not going to play. They already stated because of concussion
He's not playing.
protocol.
I think
he's not playing.
I think Jeff Green is a formidable replacement because Jeff Green is a replacement. I think Jeff Green can play like 34, 35 more minutes. I think Jeff Green can fill in that spot. I think so.
Okay. I hear you. How about you, Flo? What you think?
LA, I'll stay true to my prediction. I picked Cavaliers in 6. All right. Unfortunately, series is even. So I'm going to stay with the Cavs here in 7. Even though, like I said, Boston's at home. With Cleveland, they need contributions from Jeff Green, like Dee mentioned. Also, George Hill's got to step up. Also, you have, what's his name? J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, Tristan Thompson. They need all of these guys to step up. All of them. This is the game where all the veterans on Cleveland that has rings, they got to step up. They got to step up. This is where their experience is going to show in this game.
I hear where you coming from. And I'm going to stick with it. As Nate Dawes said, you can't deny it. I think what's the name? LeBron's going to do his thing, man. And I think he's going to force his way into that finals again. So that's what I'm betting on. I'm betting on LeBron going to find some way to get it done. It's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be close. And then Boston really should win, if you think about it, because they're at home. They've been pretty much dominant. And they got the younger legs. But
undefeated.
Exactly. But I just see LeBron getting there, man. I think he won't be denied this playoff, man. And if he gets to that finals, depending on who's there, he's trying to make a push, man. He's trying to make that push this year if he stay healthy. So right now, I'm betting on, Cleveland. I'm sticking with it. Game 7. And, hopefully it'll be a good series, though. It's a Game 7. Hopefully it'll be a good one because this playoff been up and down, guys. Very much up and down. But, hopefully finish a good one before we move on to the finals. And may the best team win. I don't think pretty much else want to add to that. Well, I want to move on to the Western Conference Series between the Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors, which is also currently tied 3-3. The Warriors crushed the Rockets with a 115-86 victory in Game 6, in which Chris Paul was out of lineup due to a hamstring injury. What are your thoughts, guys? Starting with you, Danny D.
Just like I said, the Warriors came to play, man. Offensively, they were getting busy going out there and hitting shots, and freaking Klay Thompson, man. 35 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was the X factor in that game. And Houston, that third and fourth quarter for Houston was horrible. They had to lead in the beginning, and they just didn't have like you said, didn't have firepower, And they truly, dearly miss Chris Paul, man. People understand defensively, he's the catalyst that holds it down. Defensively, like I was telling Flo in LA, he's not scared to play defense. He get down and gritty. He wants to play. He wants to win. And that's the determination they have to have and put in their mindset. And he wasn't out there on the floor. And it tells out there, and it really showed.
Oh, definitely. Another must win there as well. And like you stated, they miss Chris Paul. Heavily they miss Chris Paul, man. What you think about it, Flo?
LA, let me mention this real quick. Warriors outscored the Rockets 64-25 in the second half. Rockets had 13 assists, 21 turnovers. Golden State had 26 assists, 12 turnovers. This is the difference. That's the difference in the game. What happened with Golden State, they played defense in that second quarter all the way through. That's the biggest difference in this game.
No, it was. But the big difference to me was just the offense. Klay Thompson, as they said in Color Purple, my God, the dead has arisen. He woke up, man. He did what he's supposed to do. Like I keep saying, you got to do what you're supposed to do. You can't put everything on Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. And he did what he's supposed to do. Draymond Green, Mr. All-Star. He played better in the game before that when he's falling all over the floor and looking like, I don't know what, man. The atrocious defense, turning the ball over. He actually looked respectable in this game. But Klay Thompson and them guys getting busy was the main thing to me. Like you said, CP3, the turnovers killed him. You saw him. The real lack of not having them there and calming that offense down. Also, just the way they play their offense with the Houston Rockets, I mean. So much isolation, dribble. Just missing threes, man. They missed a ton of them. And it's like, after a while, you got to drive the ball, man. You got to drive the ball against this team. You got to put some buckets up, get to the free throw line. And that's the biggest thing I looked at that overall. I think CP3, the last 2 games before he got hurt, really hit a lot of clutch shots going down there. You really saw what type of player he is and how much he really wanted it. And I think that's a big difference right there. Just missed that. And you can't replicate that. And Game 7, they're going to need CP3 to show up. They're going to need him to show up on some level or somehow. And it's one thing I think that's going to happen. to make them win, but I don't know if history's going to repeat itself. But we're going to see as time goes by. What else you want to add to that, Danny D?
Yeah, like I said, and then you got to think about it, and just to protect the ball. I'm looking at the beginning of the game. They turn over the ball. The first 3 possessions were turnovers. They turn over the ball. They turn the ball over 21 times.
All right, that's not gonna get it.
Go 21 times. Golden State had 23 points over turnover. Golden State only 12 turnovers. You got to control the ball. You can't. Like we said, for you to win, you have to play a damn near perfect game. 21 turnovers. You can't do that, man. Now when it's a game, with the game 7, you can't turn over the ball you can't turn the ball over because they're gonna get the fast break point and they're gonna score. So they got to protect the ball. James Harden, like you said, you're gonna have to look at the tapes. I don't know if you're gonna have the physicality to get down low and things like that. But they match up with threes. But you got to throw more field goal attempts inside the paint if you think you're gonna try to get a W.
I hear you. Made a lot of good points. I know we all picked the Warriors going forward before we started this playoff podcast talking about the playoffs in general. Do you still think the Warriors going to win it, or are you giving them the Rockets this game in Game 7, Danny D?
My heart is telling me for Houston, but I think Golden State got it, man. They're going to win.
Think it'll be close? Blowout? What you think?
If CP3 don't think, I think it's going to be 10 or more.
I hear you. What about you, Flo? What you think? Still picking the Warriors?
101-93 Warriors.
You heard it here, folks. First, you heard it here. Why you say that, Flo?
Right now, Warriors are the healthier team. We don't know if Chris Paul's available to play. You hope that he gets the treatment. Since he didn't play Game 6, he gets the treatment he needs and he's ready to go Game 7. But right now with the Warriors, look, like you said, LA, they're risen from the dead. Their eyes has awakened. So it's interesting because I don't think the Warriors ever been put in this situation before where their backs against the wall. And even the series is do or die. Anything can happen. It's a Game 7. It's on the road, but they need this. This will build their character. The Warriors need this game. So I'm going with the Warriors. 101-93 Warriors.
Okay, I hear where you're coming from. To me, going into I picked the Warriors. A lot of firepower, 2 reigning MVPs on there, or 2 former MVPs, I should say. But to make this is a monumental task at this point now to win this game. And to me, you got to go back in history and make this happen. You got to go back and look at Willis Reed and look at the Knicks. If I'm them, that's what CP3 going to have to do. You got to pull a Willis Reed, man. You got the limpest happy ass behind out there. Play some minutes. I don't care if it's 5, 10, something. He got to show the people at home that he want this thing bad. And shame James Harden, who's supposed to be the MVP this year, to get that ring, man. Get me to the finals. I'm coming out here with one leg like Willis Reed. You know what Frazier did when he saw that? He dropped 36 points, 19 assists, 7 rebounds, 6 steals that game, man. The greatest 7th game ever. That's what James Harden need to be watching right now. You need to watch that over and over. Watch that game. Get hyped up, man, and see that. See Chris Paul limping around. See LeBron what he did in Game 6 with his back against the wall. Show him that you are the MVP this year, that you will not be denied. You do that, you're going to Game 7, you're going to win it. You don't, you're going home. And that's just it. That's all there is to it, fellas. That's all I see happening there. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I ain't got much faith in James Harden, man. I don't. I seen him last year choke. He didn't look good. But I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong and break it down and do what he's supposed to do, hit them threes and push this team over and get to the finals, man. I want to see Chris Paul and them there. I'm tired of Golden State. I want to see a new team there. That's what I want to see, fellas. But we're going to see, listeners. We're going to see if that happen or if it doesn't. Hopefully it's another good Game 7, and we'll take it from there. But that's pretty much it for the conference finals, guys. Listen, y'all got anything that y'all want to add?
Hold on, play. Who you picking, though, man?
I'm picking Golden State to still win it. I'm still picking Golden State. I'm just saying what James Harden need to be focused on. And if he focused, he can make it happen and make history. But I just don't see him do it. I just see him too shaky sometimes. Them threes don't look good enough. Now, if Chris Paul is healthy, I'm giving the Rockets the win, man. Because I think they're a better defensive team. If you get a decent amount of Chris Paul, good 20 minutes, and James Harden do what he's supposed to do, they should win that game, honestly, man. They're at home. They are hungry in Golden State to meet it. They haven't gotten to the finals. And they should be pumped up to get there, man. and they should make it happen. But like I said, it's hard to go get Steph Curry and Durant. And now you woken up Klay Thompson. It's hard to stop that many weapons, guys. It's just hard, man. I'm not gonna lie. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And another thing I want to talk about in other NBA news, recently they had the All NBA first team, second team, and third team was announced. A little bit of controversy regarding this matter. I just want to get y'all guys' opinions about the teams, if you agree with it, and if you didn't agree with it. Real quick, won't be nothing too long with it. I'll break it down for the listeners. For the first NBA All team, the starters were named as Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers, James Harden of the Houston Rockets, LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kevin Durant of the Golden State Warriors, and Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans. What you guys thought about that first team All NBA team? Did you agree with it or you disagree with it? Starting with you, Flo.
Dame Dollar on the first team, that's a little bit too much. Maybe on the second and third team. But the first team, I disagree with that. As much as I'm a big fan of Dame Dollar, I don't think he deserves to be on the first team.
Who would you put in front of him?
Wow. That's a great question. I got to think about that.
Okay. No problem.
Got to think about it.
May come back to you a little later. You may think about it. What you thought about that?
I'm thinking Steph. I'm thinking Steph.
You know he missed a ton of games? Missed a lot of games, man.
No, I'm thinking between Steph or Kyle Lowry.
I couldn't give it to neither one of them guys and me. I would think Westbrook before that, just because he got another triple-double. Some people voted for him to go higher. I'm kind of on the fence with it. But I want to see what you think, Danny D. What you think about that first team All NBA?
The first team, like I said, I'm going 4 for 5. The only person I like we said is Damian Lillard, and they're going halfway. And I'm going, and I might nudge Damian Lillard over, like you said, Russell Westbrook, because Damian Lillard had less help. That's the only reason why I'm going. Because you know why? Because I'm saying Russell Westbrook had, even though Carmelo played like a bum, what you call it, still had Paul George. Westbrook still had Paul George. And C.J. McCollum ain't no Paul George.
No, he definitely ain't. I agree with you, Danny D. I think Dame got it by a hair, just because, like you stated, and he was a little more consistent, shooting-wise. Mm-hmm. I thought a lot more pressure was on him because, and they had a better record. At the end of the day, they had a better record, over what over what Oklahoma City Thunder had. And like you say, he had more help with Paul George. To me, he's an all-star player. I'm not the biggest Paul George fan, but just going to talk talent-wise, I think he had better help this year versus what they had. So I would have gave Damian Lillard the nudge. Plus, he had one of the best years he ever had to me, so I just thought he was more clutch for them. And for the second All-NBA team, it was Russell Westbrook. Who else you had? Giannis, the Greek Freak from Milwaukee Bucks. LaMarcus Aldridge from the Spurs. Joel Embiid, my man, from the Philadelphia 76ers. And DeMar DeRozan from the Toronto Raptors. What you guys think about that list for the second All-NBA team? Starting with you, Danny D.
I'm looking at it. It looks good. The only thing I was going to say about LaMarcus, but then I said he really played well this year. Without Kawhi, he actually played and got busy. So I got to give the man credit when credit is due. He deserves it. I have to.
Yeah, he basically was all on his back this year. He was pretty consistent every game. I can't. Mm-hmm. That's the tough part. What you thought about it, Flo? Then I tell my opinion.
I was thinking maybe I would have substituted Klay Thompson over DeMar DeRozan.
Not bad. Not bad at all. But I think I'd have went with who made the third team over DeMar DeRozan, and that's Oladipo, my guy. I think Oladipo played better than me. There was more pressure on him. That team wasn't as good as Toronto, and to have them play the way he did, I'd have put Oladipo over him. I thought he's a better player than me. And that's the thing. It's tough with this thing because you're trying to say, is it the best 15? And then you got to also consider it's going by positions. Mm-hmm. So that's the tough part, too. It's like, are you really going to name the top 15 or are you really going to name the top 15 counting positions-wise? They got to figure out which way is the best way to do it. Because now so many players are interchangeable. It's not like back in the day how we had with center, power forward, small forward, 2-guard, point guard. And that was your lineup every game. Now you got guys that really would consider small forward playing power. Guys consider really a power forward playing center. It's very interchangeable now versus what it used to be. What do you think about that, Danny D?
That's a thing because when they consider a guard and a forward the same thing, and they have like Anthony Davis or Oladipo. Yeah, I got him as a center forward or a center forward guard. But I agree with you saying.
Yeah, it's tough with that. Then with the injuries, because then guys that are actually a better player, and then you kind of hurting guys that actually played every game or most of the games versus guys who didn't play as much, but you just consider them a better player because of their whole pedigree of work, everything they did before this time. So that's the kind of tough part too, and also goes into contract wise. A lot of these players get bonuses for making these teams, so they really don't want to change the way it's set up either. That's another issue too. And for the third team, it was Steph Curry, Oladipo, as Jimmy Butler from the T-Wolves, Paul George, and Karl Anthony Towns from the T-Wolves. What you thought about this last All-NBA team, Flo?
I have no problem with it. That seems accurate. I have no problem with it. I was curious though. Like, I guess if certain players were probably the first or second team, then maybe a Rudy Gobert or Porzingis would probably be on the third team, and maybe Towns would have been on like I said on the second team. It depends. It's tough. Like you said, LA. It depends on how they're grading it. It's really tough.
Yeah, I think injuries hurt them too, especially on KP. I definitely want to see him make one of them teams next year. Got to be at least on third. Oh, not next year, but the following year, because I don't know how he's going to come back from the injury. And usually that's like a year or so injury. So something to shoot for, KP. But that's pretty much it regarding the all first, second, and NBA third teams. Listeners can let us know what they think, if they agree or disagree as well. And then move on to another topic I want to talk about regarding NBA news, which the Detroit Pistons reportedly interviewing our main man, Dwayne Casey, former head coach of Toronto Raptors. What you want to add to that, Flo, starting with you?
Well, LA, the reason I wanted to add to that was that the Detroit Pistons, the owner, Tom Gores, he actually hired Ed Stefanski. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers from 2007 to 2011.
I do remember him.
And vice president of player personnel in Memphis recently.
Okay.
He was just hired actually to be a senior advisor to the team owner. They gave him a 3-year deal. And the reason why you're hearing Dwayne Casey's name is because he was the one that hired Dwayne Casey as coach of the Toronto Raptors when he was executive vice president in 2011. So there's a connection. So I wish all the best to Ed Stefanski. I know he's pulling for Dwayne Casey, but also I'm hearing rumblings that they're also interested in interviewing Becky Hammond, San Antonio Spurs assistant coach. That's what also I'm hearing. But I think Dwayne Casey got to be the front runner for this job.
Okay, but would you take this job if you Dwayne Casey?
As long as Stefanski is involved, yes. If he decides to walk away, no.
Okay. That's a good point. How about you, Danny D?
I'm Dwayne Casey. Run away. I don't want no parts of Detroit. If I need a job, like I said, you just wait, hold on, and see if they're doing, and see how the board personnel is going to be set up. And I'm holding up. Just because, like we said, the previous podcast, because if you want it just for the paycheck or you're doing it just trying to win, you want to see what's the leverage and what's the best interest for you, and how you're going to restructure that team so you can get some W's and try to make the playoffs. And right now, Detroit's a long, long way from doing that.
I think we all saw that movie, Forrest Gump. You saw that movie, Flo?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
How about you, Danny D?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Dwayne Casey to go to Netflix and get that movie, because I don't think it's on instant. And you better take good heed in that movie. They gave some sound advice. And I'm going to get that same advice to Dwayne Casey. And that's run, Dwayne Casey, run. Get away from that Detroit Pistons. You better than that. You're too good for them. You do not need to go there. Wait till next year and see what else open up. It ain't going nowhere fast with that team. You done talked about it long enough. That team is broke down cap-wise, broken down players. I'm not going to put myself in that. Don't give yourself the headache, Dwayne Casey. Move on. Wait it out. Sometimes you got to wait it out, and I'm giving you this advice. Go rent Forrest Gump. Wait it out. Run, Dwayne. Run fast. That's it for me regarding that. And also, Toronto Raptors, as we just spoke about them, reportedly are interviewing Spurs assistant Messina and Udoka. Both of these are assistants regarding, like I say, the San Antonio Spurs. You're hearing about a lot of back and forth. Some talk was for the Knicks. I think one time they were talking about Messina, because he's a guy that's a little more. He's been in the Euro League, has championships as a head coach there, and Treviso, Real Madrid, and also Udoka. He's 40 years old. He also had interviews for, I believe, the Charlotte job and the Orlando job. He's been with Popovich's system the last 6 years or so. So he's got a little experience back and forth. Not really sure if they're both ready for this part, but that's where Toronto is looking at. What you think about this, Danny D?
Yeah, they're looking at these guys as assistants, and after you fired the best coach you had in Toronto history. Yeah, they're looking at it. I guess it's a good move. I don't know what their track record is since they've been assistant. You need somebody who's going to be prolific to actually do an overhaul to see what's going on. Because then you still got to figure out what are you doing with that roster with DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Because since I don't know if they're trying to trade them, but they're trying to see what the options are. But I guess good luck.
They're going to need it. Like you stated last time, Flo, in the last podcast, Dwayne Casey is the best coach that's out here. And like we stated before, it's very short-sighted. Because now it's like you're just scrambling trying to find somebody to fit the spot. If you didn't have nobody you really wanted to get, it made no sense to drop him when you did to me. I didn't understand that at all. What you say about it, Flo?
LA, if I email Udoka or Messina, do the interview, and then once they offer you the job, turn it down. Say no longer interested. Stick it to Master Ujiri. Stick it to him.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Stick it to the Master Ujiri. The Orlando job is much better than the Toronto job, believe it or not. As much as I might sound a little bit crazy by saying that, but I think the Orlando job is much better. Right now, so many rumors are circulating with Toronto in terms of Masai Ujiri trying to figure out whether he's going to keep both Lowry or DeRozan and he's going to trade one of them. So many rumors are circulating. So I'm not sure what's the direction Toronto's heading into right now. So if I'm one of those two assistant coaches, turn it down. Turn it down. Just do the interview to get the experience, but turn it down.
I wouldn't want that job right now either. But would you want to trade? I mean, it all depends on what's the best deal you can get. I understand that. But if you was Toronto's GM, Masai Ujiri, would you rather trade Lowry or would you rather trade DeRozan?
Well, the thing is, both these guys have their contracts. They have big contracts, but Lowry's the older player. I think you get more value by trading DeRozan. And I have a trade proposal on the table for DeRozan, but I want to wait and confirm something real quick. So I'm not going to put it out there. But DeRozan is the guy you move between him and Lowry. DeRozan is the guy you trade.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think you're going to get more from him as well. What you say about that, Danny D?
It depends, because I might go, but get more. But when we say more, what are we going to get? Because, look, are we going all-star for all-star? Or do we keep the better player? We keep DeRozan and see if we can get trade value because you need core. I think we can get another. If I'm Toronto, I keep DeRozan. I think we can get another guard. I can keep Grant. I don't see the difference between Lowry and Van Fleet. You understand what I'm saying? So it really depends what you're looking for. If you're trying to go big or better, I'm not sure.
I think you disrespect my man Kyle Lowry with that one, man.
Hey, man, I'm not disrespecting Kyle Lowry because we're only looking at this year. This year he stepped up. What about them other 2-3 years when he's playing horrible? Had to sub himself out during halftime because he's playing hard against the Nets.
Yeah, DeRozan playing horrible this year.
I remember that. That's what I said. I'm going for the body of work. I'm just not looking at this year. I'm looking at the last 2-3 years when he wasn't stepping up, shooting 1 for 15. 2 for 13 in playoff games.
Yeah, but DeRozan did bad this year.
That's this year, bro. That's only this year. I'm giving DeRozan a pass. He has problems, man. He has anxiety problems, man. You got to give him a pass, man.
Okay. I hear you coming from. To me, I don't know. I think, like you said, Lowry played much better this year than me. But like you said, he also came up short in the past as well. And I think that's the problem with this team. Very inconsistent with their star players. And when it comes to playoffs, you just can't afford to do that. That's just the honest truth with it. You can't afford to do that.
Now, you get paid $100 million.
No, sir. You hit that on the head. But, we'll see as it go along. I think it's going to be a real hot off season. I think there's going to be a lot of changes that people don't see coming. But we'll see as we go along. Anything else you want to add regarding the NBA talk Anybody else got anything that you want to put up there?
I have something to put in there.
Go ahead, Danny D.
Why is Draymond Green not an All-NBA? I want to know what's going on, guys.
Oh, man. He don't deserve it. Didn't deserve it the last couple of years they put him up there to me. He's very overrated, man. I'm just going to put it out there. He's overrated. But with the numbers he do, I know they're saying he's one of the greatest one-on-one defenders, but I'm not seeing it, man. I'm not seeing this playoff series. I think Capella's doing a better job than me. Just looking at it in Houston. I'd rather go with Capella if I had to pay somebody money. And I think that's going to happen. Golden State lose this year. One of them going to have to go. And one of them going to have to go. It's going to either be Thompson or it's going to be Draymond Green.
Bye, Draymond. Ain't gonna really play.
Oh, I see that. What you else want to add to that, Flo?
I mean, with those two players, I mean, they already. Matter of fact, aren't they working on a contract extension with Clay? I think we talked about that last week.
Yeah, it's in the worst. They think about it, but a lot depends on what's going to happen this playoffs to me. Also, you never know with Kevin Durant, man. I don't see him leaving again because I don't think he wants the pressure of being number one guy. So I think it's pretty much the best place for him. But, you know, winning changes everything, and so does losing. So we'll see what happens with that. Anything else you want to add to that, Flo? Anything else you want to add topic-wise to NBA talk?
Yeah, LA, I want to announce that Igor Kovalkov, 46 years old, is the first European-born NBA head coach. He was officially hired by the Phoenix Suns as their next basketball coach. His claim to fame, he won the NBA championship as an assistant coach under the Detroit Pistons under Coach Larry Brown. He's been assistant coach in the NBA for 18 years. Recently, 2017, he won a gold medal as the head coach of the senior Slovenian men's national team in the Eurobasket tournament going 9-0. So congratulations to Igor Kovalkov, the new head coach of the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, thank you for that, Flo. And that plays right into the top pick. Everybody's talking about Doncic, you know, so that's a former coach-wise with there. So that's the connection with Slovenia. Well, we'll see what happens when the draft comes. You know, could be some movement with that as well. And that puts us into our next segment, which is Knicks Weekly Roundup. And that brings us our segment, Knicks Weekly Roundup. Not that much going on with the Knicks today, fellas, but one thing I want to talk about real quick was head coach David Fizdale recently accompanied Damian Dotson, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Fran Nicolina to the Cavs and Celtics Game 5 of Eastern Conference Finals. He also spoke to Kristaps Porzingis in a recent telephone conversation in which Porzingis later retweeted, "Man, I'm excited. Let's go." So what does that say to you fellas and to our listeners? What do you think about that going forward? Does this mean anything significantly for the Knicks? Because the head coach, David Fizdale, as we also call him Uncle Fizz, is really laying his handwork and his foundation on the Knicks. What do you think about this going forward? So I'm with you, Danny D.
No, it's good because now it shows that it's a good player and coach relationship, and these are some young guys because all the age 24 and younger, and it's a good thing. It's like a family. You're getting together, you're building relationships, and they understand what direction that Coach Fizdale's want to go. Also, they have Fizdale's going to go to Latvia. He's going to go with the family and chill with KP, and it's good. And that's a player relationship that you need. So you can relate to these young guys, and that means they know that, and they're going to go out there and they're going to play hard for you because he knows that they're there for them. So it's a beautiful thing, man. And I hope it works out.
Yeah, definitely so. What you think about that, Flo?
LA, I respectfully disagree with D. I don't think it was a good thing at all. It was a great thing. It really was a great thing. The reason why LA, Uncle Fizz met with Porzingis' agent, who's his brother, Janice, last week. They had a conversation, got the phone number of Porzingis, reached out to Porzingis. It was definitely a great thing. What he's doing once again, building the morale. Porzingis has been on 3 losing seasons as a Knick, playing with the Knicks. So he's building that morale. Excellent job by Uncle Fizz. Excellent job. Remember, Coach Hornacek didn't do it when he was here. Phil Jackson didn't do it when he was here. They never reached out to Porzingis. They never came to Latvia and visit him at all. They never called him anything like that. So this is a great thing. It's building a great rapport with your star player. I love it. Hopefully Uncle Fizz, when he gets the chance, maybe after the draft, he goes to Latvia and meet with Porzingis a couple times, check on him, make sure he's all right. So I love it. Definitely, I love it. It's a great thing.
Definitely. I got to agree with both of you fellas. Stole a little bit of my thunder there, Flo. That's the main thing I was looking at. Uncle Fizz trying to do some Superman stuff and reverse the time, spinning the world backwards. And he basically trying to do what Hornacek and Phil Jackson didn't do. They never made that connection with the players. So hopefully you make this connection now. That way when you're in practice and you got to get on these guys and tell them to go out there and hustle and play defense, they will respect where you're coming from. Because they know you don't just care about them on the court, you care about them off the court. And they'll remember these type of things going down the road. And also you want to have Kristaps Porzingis buy into this team because, like you stated, Danny D, before, his contract is coming up little by little, and that connection is really not there. It's not really a player he really connected that's still here. And the coaching staff, as they stated before, the first time when the offseason, he ran off the offseason, didn't even say anything, didn't even make an interview. And after that, you also didn't really have a good communication between Hornacek. It also stated allegedly that he cursed at Hornacek before. So that connection was never made. So now him saying he's excited that he actually want to be there and want to see this team go forward. And even that just quick tweet showed me that he's saying something that's connecting with him. And that's what you really want. You want to see that. And you're also good to let them see the playoffs, let this team, this is where they really want to go forward. You don't want to be on these sidelines in these lotteries year after year. You want it to be where LeBron and them is in Game 5. Even the coaching wise with Brad Stevens, some of those things, I think the defensive wise, that's going to help a lot of these young players. Celtics was a young team that actually won that game. Some things you could take from that and see some correlation. This is where we want to go as a young New York team. So I'm hoping that's what they're going to see going forward. But, Uncle Fizz, keep laying them bricks down. Keep doing what you need to do. Hopefully lay some wins down the road. But that's pretty much it regarding the Knicks. Anything else you want to add to that regarding Knicks Weekly Roundup, fellas?
L.A.
Go ahead, Flo.
Something I was thinking about from last week. You asked me a question last week. Should the Knicks move up? And I said yes. So I'm going to put this out there. I want your take on it, gentlemen. I was thinking about this last couple of days. So the Knicks have the 9th pick in the 2018 NBA draft. So the 9th pick plus their second-round pick, they got it from Chicago, number 37, to the Memphis Grizzlies for the 4th pick in the draft. What's your take on this, gentlemen?
What's the other pick?
Yeah, what's up the pick?
Number 37, the second-round pick, number 37.
If I could get it, I would do it, but I don't think it's going to be enough to move up. Not that much. I think with that, you ain't moving up no more, maybe than 1 or 2. Because, this draft board got a lot of formulas the way they set up, like this pick is worth that to move up this many spots when they talk about that. I just don't think in this draft where it's like a lot of fluctuation, you're really not sure who you're going to pick. You stated before, Memphis need a lot of help, and one pick is not going to get it. But to me, if I'm Memphis, I'm not moving down. I think you need to get the top player you can get with that team. What you think about that, Flo? I mean, Danny D.
No, I agree. That's the thing. No, I agree with you on that one. Because it's hard to tell with that, though. Would you do it, Flo?
I think both teams should make the deal, to be honest with you. Like LA, like you mentioned, Memphis needs some help. I'm not sure what direction they're going into. So that's the reason why I think they should, definitely consider making this trade. And if you're the Knicks, if you're in love with a specific player and you don't think that player will be available at 9, then definitely you should, attempt to move your 9th pick to get that 4th pick.
No, I don't disagree with that. I just don't think that second pick is going to be enough. I really don't. I think you need another low. Go ahead, Phil.
So I was going to say, would you throw in a 2019 second-round pick? Oh, let me correct that. Since we can't trade picks, in back-to-back years, 2020 second-round pick.
I just don't think it's going to be enough. I really don't. I think you need a late first or a player. I think a player on your team that, let's say a Moody Day was playing better than he was, then you could do that. I'm not trading Frank. But if Moody Day was playing better than he was, that type of player, or even like a Kyle O'Quinn, something like that, I would try to move up and do that if they liked them that much. Or if you knew you wasn't going to keep Cantor. Somebody like that, I think you could move up and get higher. I just don't think that second round is enough for me to go down 5 spots in this draft. You know, like you said, because it's not somebody I really see. It's not deep as before, I think, with solid play that you know right away. I think it's going to be a deeper draft than people giving it credit for, but I think you're going to have to wait on these players. You got to wait a good 3, maybe 2-3 years down the road before you really see something. That's the honest way I see. I see some starters in here, but it's going to take a little while for them to get there. And that's why I said, for me to move down 5 spots, that's a lot to move down. And I'm only getting a second-round pick out and a late one.
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough. For Knicks, I love it, but I don't think Memphis is going to do it. I just don't see it. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. But I think they would rather have a little more solid player versus that, like a Cantor or Quinn, maybe a second-round and no Quinn, something like that. I think maybe they might do that. If they're not so in love with somebody at the 4th pick. They could still get the same guy at the 9th. But it's gonna be something to see with this draft. It's gonna be all over the place, I think. What else you want to add to that, Flo?
No, I mean, I agree. Maybe the Knicks would probably have to add a player. That makes sense. They would have to add a player in there to convince Memphis to take the deal. I think they would have to add a player in there. It's got to be someone with not too much left on their contract. You know.
Exactly. But again, nice upside.
Yeah. Again, Memphis has, they need help all over the place. So I think for a team like Memphis, the more picks, the better, because again, they're not going to be able to recruit a potential NBA free agent to go over there and play over there. So I think they can get any help they can get it. And the best way for them to get where they need to get to is through the draft. But again, I'm not sure what direction Memphis is going into. LA, that's why I'm kind of waiting to see when we do our draft show, because I might stun you who Memphis will pick. So.
Oh, yeah,
if they keep the
nice
pick.
One.
Especially if they keep the pick. Because I believe Memphis is going to go in a different direction. They're going to stun a lot of people with their pick. I really believe that.
Yep. That's something definitely for our listeners to look forward to. We're going to have a big draft show like we do every year. Make sure to stay tuned to that. And much appreciated for that, Flo. And that's pretty much ends our segment and pretty much our show for today. And that brings to the conclusion of our show and closing remarks. You got any closing remarks for today's show, Danny D?
Well, thank you guys for the show for today. We thank our fans keep on subscribing and listening and showing some love.
Thank you, Danny D. Much appreciated as always. How about you, Flo? You got any closing remarks for our listeners today?
LA, I want to thank all the listeners, old and new. Please subscribe, tell a friend. LA, I also want to thank you and D for allowing me to be part of this great show, the #1 independent basketball podcast in the world, Knicksfandom. We're all over the place. Spreaker, iTunes. We name it. We're all over. SoundCloud, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you, Flo. Much appreciated as always, fellas. Couldn't do it without y'all, because it's true. Really enjoyed today's show. We said what needed to be said. And, right is right at the end of the day. Thank you, listeners. And as always, please subscribe to the show on YouTube. Like Flo stated, we on Spreaker. We on a lot of different formats, a lot of different platforms. Also, make sure to leave a review on iTunes. Also help. And hit that like button on YouTube as well. That's also help people to find the show and helps the show grow. Lastly, please tell a friend about the show. And more importantly, keep tuning in. Enjoy the playoffs. We'll be here to talk about it. Thanks again. See ya.